begin with the superintendent's report.
Well, thank you, Skip. Much appreciated. I just want to, just a quick update before we get started with our recognitions tonight. Again, last week was Staff Appreciation Week. Just another opportunity to thank our wonderful VCS staff for all that they do. Lots of fun was had last week and lots of recognition. So thank you, staff. And I just wanted to also say I'm really excited about tonight's meeting. We're going to keep the theme going with some recognitions, some student recognitions, as well as some staff recognitions. So looking forward to that. And speaking of recognitions, we're going to start with the one and only Mr. Brush. He is going to continue our tradition of honoring our class of 2021 seniors. I think the seniors told me you have 8 days left. Is that about right? 7. Hard to believe. Congratulations, seniors, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Brush.
We just had a senior come in, Mr. O'Neill, in the nick of time, so that's perfect.
Hey, they're here. We'll take it.
Exactly, exactly. How'd tennis go, Anna? Okay. Well, good evening. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill and the Vicksburg School Board for allowing me to introduce our Outstanding Senior Award winners. This is a great time of year for Vicksburg High School. Unfortunately, tonight we have quite a few that are involved in work, sports, and have other obligations, but I want to recognize all of them. So we'll see about half of them tonight. First up, Tristan Decker. He received a $500 scholarship from the World of Work for his performance in computerized manufacturing and mechatronics. Benjamin Earl received a $1,250 scholarship to Kalamazoo Valley Community College for his performance in horticulture. Anthony Fagley received a $1,250 scholarship to Kalamazoo Valley Community College for his performance in marketing and entrepreneurship. Chloe Hatridge received a $1,000 Burdick Throne Foundation scholarship for her performance in AP Computer Science. Now we've got Jeffrey Hogue. Jeffrey Hogue, could you join me up here, please? Let's give Jeffrey a round of applause. So Jeffrey is an outstanding senior. He's on the Clay Target team, hit 98 of 100 shots. Pretty impressive. Now, Jeffrey, tell everybody here who doesn't know, when you hit 25 in a row, what do you have to do?
Shoot your hat.
So you throw your hat up there and you shoot it. How many times have you had to do that?
Multiple.
Multiple.
He doesn't wear a good hat.
He's also a member of 4-H. What do you do for 4-H, Jeffrey?
Show cattle and pigs.
Awesome. And he's taken 4 EFE classes. He's taken like marketing all the way to welding. What did you like best about EFE?
EFE allows you to do things in school that you can't in a normal school setting.
Awesome. What are your plans for next year?
Hopefully get into the sheet metal union.
Awesome. And then what scholarship did you win, Jeffrey?
I won the World of Works Award scholarship.
Beautiful. And Jeffrey, who's with you here tonight?
My mom and dad.
Beautiful. Let's give Jeffrey a round of applause. Next up, Brendan Monroe. All right, so Brendan is a member of NHS. He's also on the varsity football and baseball teams. He's an Eagle Scout. I think this is the 3rd or 4th in this class. What was your Eagle Scout project?
I did a bunch of work at the Vicksburg Little League.
Awesome. What did you do there, Brendan?
I helped build a cage, a batting cage.
Awesome. You also took a couple EFE classes. You took marketing and accounting. What did you like best about your EFE classes?
I liked that it put me in, it helped me figure out what I was going to do as college.
Awesome. And then what scholarship did you win?
The Kalamazoo Foundation Scholarship.
Beautiful. And what are your plans for next year?
I'm going to Glen Oaks Community College and play baseball and study business.
Beautiful, which went with EFE. Who's with you here tonight?
My mom and dad,
Who are they?
Amy and Dwayne.
Awesome. Thank you, Brendan. Now, Brady Nason couldn't be here tonight, but he won a
I like
600.
being able to meet everybody and make sure that I wasn't actually grossed out by mouths before I become a dental hygienist.
So I brush my teeth and I use mouthwash every time. Is there anything else I should do besides maybe flossing, chew
Yeah, I was
gum?
gonna say maybe floss a little.
All right, and then your plans for next year?
I'm gonna go to KVCC and complete my prereqs for the dental hygiene program and keep on working as an assistant at Scott Allard Dentistry.
That's a good plug for them too, I like it. And who's with you tonight?
My mom, Jen, and my dad, Steve.
Congratulations. Miss Yant, Paige Yant. All right, so Paige, you finished the 2-year cosmetology program in 1 year and 5 months.
Yes.
That's incredible. You also play varsity basketball and softball. You babysit and you work at Urbelli's. What was your favorite thing about EFE?
Probably just getting to be off campus every day and meeting new people and getting to do hands-on stuff with what I want to do when I get older.
Awesome. What scholarship did you win?
I got the Kalamazoo Valley Scholarship.
What are your plans for next year?
I'm going to KVCC to do business classes while working in a salon.
Awesome. And who's with you tonight?
My mom, Lori.
Congratulations, Paige.
Thank you.
All right, next I get to introduce the Dar Good Citizen of the Year Award winner. Each year, the Daughters of the American Revolution sponsor the Dar Good Citizenship Award. A senior is selected by his or her classmates and faculty for this award. The criteria for the award are dependability, service, leadership, and patriotism. This year's recipient is Sawyer Barton. Congratulations. So Sawyer is a 4-year academic and 4-year scholar athlete award winner, 4-year Kmz student, has over a 4.0 GPA, scored a 1470 on her SAT. That was me taking it twice, so good job.
And adding them together, too,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, yep. She also did 3 different Kmz Research Projects. Tell us about those Kmz Research Projects.
Yeah, so for about, from December to March every year, I work really hard to create a either research-based or reading-based research project. My freshman year, it was on a caterpillar fungus. My sophomore year, it was about synthesizing nanoparticles from tomatoes. And then my junior year, I did 2, one on radiation and another on, oh goodness. I'm blanking, but it was in biomedical science on, glyphosate.
Awesome. She's also captain of the cross-country and track teams, which she was all-conference for both, all-region for cross-country, and track we're still going, so there's still hope for that as well. She enjoys playing the guitar, reading, and hiking. I found this interesting. She volunteers at the Grizzly Wolf Discovery Center in West Yellowstone, Montana. Tell us about that.
I've been doing that since I was 11, and I basically help out enriching habitat with all sorts of different animals that would otherwise be euthanized because they couldn't stay in the wild. So
Wow.
What are your plans for next year?
I plan on going to GVSU in the pre-vet program.
Awesome. And who's with you tonight?
My mom and my dad, Matt and Jill Barton.
Awesome. Congratulations, Sawyer. I next get to introduce the Principal's Leadership Award winner. The Principal's Leadership Award will be awarded to a graduating senior who demonstrates a commitment to making VHS a better place, demonstrates outstanding school spirit, and demonstrates high character and integrity on a daily basis. This year's winner, Anna Deal. Straight from where? Was it Allegan, Otsego? Straight from Otsego. All right. So Anna is an academic award winner who took 9 AP classes. What was your favorite AP class?
My favorite class was probably AP Chemistry.
Why did you like AP Chemistry so much?
It was a bit of a challenge, but it was a good challenge, and it kind of got me to explore different areas of things and work my mind a little bit, so it was good.
Now, I know most of you are like, I know that voice. Why would we know this voice?
Because I announce that every single homecoming since freshman year.
So as a freshman, she got to announce at all the different homecomings, which is just amazing to me. So she's a member of NHS Aim Higher. She's the president of Student Senate. What did you like best about Student Senate?
Student Senate was really fun because you could get involved with people from all different grade levels and doing different things like setting up for the semi-formal and homecoming pep rallies, and it was just a really good way to get involved.
Awesome. She plays tennis, as you can see, and volleyball. She also works 2 jobs. Where do you work?
I work at Barrett's Smokehouse in Silo Chic.
Awesome. Now, what are your plans for next year?
Next year, I'm going to Northern Michigan University, and I'm going to study speech, language, and hearing science and minor in Spanish and sign language.
Awesome. And who's with you tonight?
My mom, Heather, and my grandma, Vicky.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Last but not least, I finally get to introduce the YWCA Women of Achievement Award winner. The YWCA Women of Achievement Award celebrates the outstanding contributions of women in our community who demonstrate leadership and service to the community. This year's recipient, Megan Holmes. So this one was also tough because Megan was here last month. So we've got to kind of mix it up for you guys. Megan was in our top 10 last year. She's a 4-year scholar athlete, 4-year academic award winner, took 10 AP classes, member of Peer-to-Peer, NHS, president of the class of 2021. She also volunteers at Toby Elementary. What do you like best about that, Megan?
I love volunteering at Toby Elementary because I was a Toby Tiger myself, and it's just nice to see all of my old teachers and just work the events that I loved when I was a child.
She plays varsity tennis, babysits, and has worked extremely hard these past 4 years. What are you looking most forward to after graduation?
I'm looking most forward to just the next step in life, moving in on campus, taking new interesting classes, and just starting my career because I'm involved in peer-to-peer right now, and I love special education, and I just can't wait to work in that field.
So that leads me to my next question. What are your plans for next fall?
This fall, I will be attending the University of Michigan for special education.
Awesome. And who's with you here tonight, Megan?
My mom, Barb, and my dad, Andrew.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's give these seniors one more round of applause. All right, one last plug. Just a reminder, seniors, you should be, if you're winning a scholarship or award, receiving an email probably by the end of this week. Ms. O'Rourke dubbed us the Scholar Squad. So due to capacity limits, we're going to go deliver scholarships next week to seniors' homes, which was a highlight of last year. So look towards your email towards the end of this week for award winnings and scholarships.
I just want to make a comment about how proud we are of all of you. This is certainly the May and the April meetings are meetings as a board that we really look forward to have our seniors come and visit with us. We're going to miss all of you. I'm absolutely amazed as I hear the introductions and everything else about how you find time to take all the AP classes, some of you working 2 jobs, and then you still have the ability and find the time to volunteer. And that's a wonderful thing. My good friend Mercer Munn, who the field house is named after, was always felt that if you lived in a community, it was very important you gave back to it. And I'm proud of each and every one of you for that being involved too. But you ought to feel real good. We're going to miss you, but we're very, very proud of you. And compliments to the parents too.
That's one thing we didn't do. We never gave the parents a standing ovation. So seniors, let's stand up and give your parents a standing ovation, please.
Well, thank you, Mr. Brush, and Congratulations, seniors. Congratulations, parents. What an amazing, just amazing to hear all these accomplishments. Best of luck in your future endeavors, and we look forward to seeing you, I believe, May 27th, correct? 7 p.m. in the stadium. That's going to be an exciting night for graduation. So at this time, of course, if you want to sit through the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome to, but we will take a little recess if you have places to go. So once again, congratulations, seniors. Okay, I'm going to make a quick change to the recognitions. If you look at 2B, the 2021 Excellence in Special Education Award, we're going to move that to the June meeting. So we look forward to presenting that award in June. And I'd just like to quickly give some updates about some happenings in the district, as well as some legislative updates. First and foremost, this Thursday, May 13th, we will be hosting a vaccination clinic here at the high school. This is our second one. And with the emergency authorization just delivered today by the FDA, our ages 12 through 15 will be eligible as well. And that link went out to all our community today. So feel free to spread that word and have anybody call the administration building if they have questions. That's going to run from 3:30 to 6:30 this Thursday here at the high school. Also, we have our Fall 21-22 Instructional Model Committee meeting, which is comprised of administration, teaching staff, to begin discussions about our offerings for next fall. It's that time to start having those discussions, believe it or not. Our first meeting is this Wednesday, and we plan on developing a parent survey very soon, which will go out hopefully at the end of May, early June. And I just want to thank everybody for their patience with this, especially the community. Most of you know that MDHHS orders are changing rapidly. We want to make sure we have all the correct information as we start making these important decisions for the fall. Also, we just had a staffing meeting. We're in the process of working on our staffing for the fall school year, 21-22. We've been talking about the potential addition of counselors, interventionists, some support staff and teaching staff, and I will certainly keep you posted. We have a lot of movement going on in the district right now, and we are posting jobs as quickly as we know that we need them, including some external postings with the retirements that have happened this year. So I look forward to bringing new staff members in front of you for board approval. Also, summer school, we are right there. Our plans are basically finalized for all three levels. Staffing has pretty much been taken care of at this point. And we are currently actively reaching out to parents to gauge their interest. So stay tuned. Our summer school program will be running basically the week after we get out of school. So that'll be the week of June 14th.
Is it going to go solid through the summer, or are you going to do like chunks?
Each level will have a different. Okay. Most of them will be done around the 4th of July, but we will have elementary that will run a little bit longer. Okay. We certainly want to give people a break, including our students, to really enjoy the summer. It's been a challenging year, as we've all recognized, but we thank our students for hanging in there and our staff. Yeah.
Some of the interest in summer school has to do with kids who've struggled in credit recovery. I saw them somewhere, but are we able to use over the summer some kids who may have struggled this year to use our Pathways program to get some credit recovery so they're on track for the fall?
Yeah, we've had those discussions. Certainly, we're going to have a full credit recovery program going on at the high school, and it's going to be larger than it's ever been, so we're hoping to manage most of that through that program, Dave, but great question.
Okay, thanks.
Also just wanted to do a couple more reports, just some information that came out of the last board meeting regarding Toby and the potential outbreak. I've been working directly with the health department to kind of find out what happened, and It was reported as an outbreak in the Michigan Disease Surveillance System, that's called MDSS, and that's common reporting for any type of disease or transmission of an infection, foodborne illness, those types of things. And then from there, MDHSS picks that up, and then we would be notified. They're trying to figure out where that part, that piece, if it was a human error or a computer error or a data entry error. So hopefully we'll get more information on that too, but please know the health department did do their part, and we're working on why the state level piece didn't happen. So I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. Also, I just wanted to, we sent out a communication to the district regarding Sunset Lake last week that we're looking at a potential outbreak there. We've been working with the health department about that one, and I will have more information, and it'll be communicated to everybody once we have the full update from them. Please know, in both the Toby situation and the Sunset situation, all protocols were followed. Contact tracing, quarantine was all followed as we have performed those duties all year. And I want to thank everyone that does that important, hard work on our staff. It's a lot of work. It involves a lot of weekends. It involves a lot of evenings. So thank you for your hard work to ensure that we follow those protocols as designed. Interesting, last Friday, I think it was about 6 o'clock, I received an email from some of my friends up north in Kent County, Ottawa County, Ionia County, and also Ottawa County. They received a joint statement from those health departments stating that those local health departments were no longer supporting, or no longer enforcing, make sure that word's in there, contact tracing and quarantine of healthy students. Many districts up north immediately sent out a letter to their communities stating that fact. We're no longer going to enforce the quarantining of healthy students based on our data. And it created quite a stir for me over the weekend. I had many, many families reach out to me asking, is Vicksburg going to follow this lead? And I just want to make it clear. I met with the health department today, Kalamazoo County Health Department, and they are not going to issue a statement at this time stating that they're not going to enforce the contact tracing and quarantine rules. So we are still staying staying the course with those protocols. What we do know is because of the data, quarantine times will be reduced tomorrow from 14 days to 10, and that memo will come out from the health department stating that fact. As you recall, when we had the surge, we were at 10, and then they moved it to 14 based on the surge. Now that it's, we're on a downward trend, that it will go back to 10. So we'll communicate that out as needed to our families in quarantine at this time. And then we had a couple questions about masks during elementary recess times, and a new mask order came out on Tuesday, and we just received word from the health department today during my meeting. It allows for groups of 100 to be without masks outside, and all our, we cohort and have zones for our recess times at elementary, so masks will not have to be worn during recess. And as you know, we haven't required it, but however, we've been working with our kids to make sure they understand the 6-foot rule out there. So just wanted to make sure that we will get a statement out based on that, and if anybody else has questions on that, I will certainly keep everybody posted. I'd like to quickly turn your attention to the School Equity Caucus newsletter. This is very detailed. You know, I want to commend Steve and his staff with all the stimulus monies that have been flowing through many different grants and COVID relief money pockets that have been coming into the state and then delivered. It's hard to keep track of all those acronyms, and so thank you, Steve. But they're still having many conversations about how to distribute the stimulus money. While that is going on, they're still trying to develop the budget for next school year, so we actually know how to plan. One of the big things I do want to point out is next Friday, May 21st, the estimating conference, the budget estimating conference will take place. That's very, very important in the process, so the Senate and the House will both be watching that very carefully, and hopefully we will have some more news on the budget traditionally, Steve, I believe that usually doesn't get finalized till,
Yeah, there were many years where we would find out, where the budget would be finalized well after the end of our fiscal year. For several years, the legislature was able to work with the governor and finalize a budget. Now there's just, so much more uncertainty. We certainly hope that we have solid budget numbers before June 30th, but I won't be surprised if it, drags into the summer a little bit. So we'll just have to stay tuned. But after the revenue estimating conference, we'll have a much clearer sense for the direction that the budget is headed.
Agree. And one more item, we have some important dates in there, and this list has been pretty sparse all year, as you know, but there are some very exciting things here that I wanted to draw your attention to. First of all, May 20th, for most of our seniors, that will be their last day of school. We have a spring band concert that's going to be held in the stadium. We're going to have to follow capacity rules there regarding the number of tickets that performers will get, but that'll be exciting to hear the music. Of course, graduation Thursday, May 27th, with our first rain date being Friday, May 28th. And then we will have the Memorial Day holiday with no school on the 31st. And then in June, we'll have our Pathways graduation on June 10th. And then the last day of school, which is hard to believe, is June 11th, about a month away. And with that, Skip, that's my report.
Thank you, Kevin. We'll go on to reports and public inquiry, and I'm going to move the annual transportation report up to the first spot, because we've got a lot of members of our transportation department here, and they get up very early in the morning to get those buses out. So Karen, we'll turn it over to you.
Are we?
Yeah.
So we're working on the volume on this. Thought we had it. But you've heard this song before. This is kind of the theme since I've been here. We are like the magic school bus. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Karen McKinstry, the Director of Transportation. And I'm excited to be here this year because I really missed last year. I was really excited. There was some things that I wanted to share. I'm waiting for our sound to get on there.
You might get baked into a pie on the magic school bus. Step inside, it's a wild ride. Come on, ride on the magic school bus.
Alrighty, that's just a fun theme song that I love to just open up with, just to get you in the spirit of fun. But one thing that I missed last year that I really wanted to share because I was so excited about it, our district has had some ALICE training, training to be prepared if anything emergency were to arise. And we never really had anything geared for bus drivers, but we were able to bring in Strategos International. It's an organization that comes in specifically for bus drivers to get some training. And the bus drivers were given some really awesome tools. I'm going to have to figure this out. We had our very own Vicksburg, whoops, hold on, we don't want to do that again.
Please let this be a normal.
Deputy Sheriff Todd Skinner, a Vicksburg Vicksburg parent, came and he was part of that team that gave us some training They focused on bus safety awareness and intruder response. The drivers were reminded and taught how to be alert, how to be aware, looking, at the bus stops, looking for anything that seemed out of place, just to be alert. And then being proactive, not just sitting in our seat, but being ready to take control of a situation if something were to arise. They gave us really good tools to use. I got a couple of pictures here. This is Todd Skinner talking with the drivers. He was actually on the bus with us and taught us, if somebody were to approach our bus, gave us some tools there. And we were outside the bus kind of practicing some self-defensive maneuvers that a bus driver can be proactive with if somebody did approach our bus. It was a really great experience, and I really think the bus drivers really liked it. And I'd love for you to hear one of our friends share her thoughts on that training.
How you felt about this training when you first started, and when we finished up here, and how do you feel now? What are, just give me one word that would tell me how you felt. And Jerry said this, and I'm going to incorporate this in some of our future presentations, but here's what she said.
Well, like I said, I've been driving bus a long time. We used to have 3 days of bus school, where there was classes, state police, special ed, all different kinds of classes. I watched the bus roll over, I watched the bus be caught on fire, and it was great. We learned something. You went away with something. This is the first class that I have had in many, many years that I can say I really enjoyed, I really learned something.
I think that was kind of everybody's feeling. We had, they just felt empowered. They felt like we don't have to be a target, we don't have to be sitting and just letting something happen. They can be proactive. And so I think everybody was really happy with that training, and they did a great job. I believe Todd Skinner is the deputy sheriff of the Van Buren County, and so it was kind of neat to have him come in and share with us. So that was one of the exciting things I wanted to share last year. But so this year, last year we shut down. It was a hard time for all of us. And as soon as the drivers learned that there was going to be an opportunity to serve by delivering meals to people, they were all excited about that, all on board. And some of the drivers were surprised at their, some of the drivers were surprised when they would drop off meals. They got greeted by some kids, and one of them actually captured a picture of some little ones having written on the sidewalk, we love you and thank you. So, but there was other stories too, but this driver happened to catch a picture for us, so that was pretty cool. But also the drivers were just very thankful, and as all of us were, how the school supported us during that shutdown. It was, like I said, a hard time. So after all that shutdown, everybody was ready and excited to get back to work. Everyone has been working diligently every day, twice a day, 4 times a day, cleaning buses, using sanitizer, trying to make sure that our buses are a safe and healthy environment, clean and germ-free. So everybody has played their part. I'd also like to say a big thanks to Amy McCall and her team at Sunset. They assisted us. My goal was to try to get our ridership down a little bit. In some areas, I didn't have to do anything, but in the Sunset area, we have some neighborhoods where we just fill up a bus. 3 kids to a seat from front all the way to the back, and we didn't want to do that. We couldn't really social distance on the bus. It was pretty much impossible, but we were able to cut back, and we really tried hard at keeping families sit together. So we made it our honest effort of trying to keep everybody safe that way. But Amy was willing to let us bring in a group of kids. We had 2 routes that we kind of did a double back, and so we had they would always fill right up. So we would take the first group of kids in and run out to Centennial or other neighborhoods that have a lot of kids and grab another group of kids. So there was about a 20-minute where kids were dropped off 20 minutes early in the morning, and then in the afternoon they kept kids maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So that was very, very helpful. I think it went really well. From our point of view, it was pretty smooth. And so And it was kind of neat, the bus drivers had a smaller group of kids, because some of them buses are so hard to manage when there's 70 kids on them, but when you only had 40, you get to know the kids better, and so build a better rapport with them, so that was a nice benefit. I'm a member of MAPT, Michigan Association for Pupil Transportation. It's a great organization who they have, their goal and their focus is student transportation, school transportation, and I'm actually serving on the legislative committee, which is really new to me. I'm learning a lot. We actually have a couple of bills that have actually passed the House and are on the way to the Senate, and these are all bills focused on making it safer for our kids. I'm sure you've heard about red light violators that we struggle with on a daily basis. So they've got proposals to allow us to use video footage if we catch a person passing the red lights. And then we also, which right now apparently is not legal, so we're hoping, that with this law it'll be. And then also just stricter penalties for violators. And then also addressing if individuals are trying to board the bus without permission and do harm. So we're looking for stricter penalties on that as well. So there's a lot of things that they do. I'm just on this committee and learning a lot, and I appreciate that organization for what they offer to us and all the Michigan schools. I would also like to report really good news on our annual state inspections. Again, it's been a wonderful experience, and an A for Allen means an A for Vicksburg. We came out of there really good, and Allen does a great job, has a great rapport with our state inspector, and so they work well together, and I know our inspector trusts Allen, and I trust Allen. I really appreciate his knowledge and expertise in our garage and in our department. I rely on him in many aspects in our department, so I appreciate Al Reynolds. Yes, thank you. And then also, I cannot not mention two very important people. Linda Vanderstraten, I'm sure you all recognize that name. She's that friendly voice on the other end of the phone when you call transportation, 98% of the time. And then 1% of the time it's me, and the other percent might be Eric. People have been surprised by Eric, but Linda's been with us for 19 years, and I appreciate everything she does. She's taught me everything I know. And then Eric Renzema, he drove for us for 10 years, and now he's in his third year as my dispatch trainer and sub-driver. And he brings technology to our department, and he saves Don and Sheree a lot of time and a lot of headaches because he helps me with that a lot. So I appreciate him in that position. Thank you. Okay, I did put in your packet a printout. It just kind of gives you an idea so you can see kind of the mileage we put on our buses. Just, if you're interested in knowing about that, these miles reflect, everything for the whole year. We did not pull out the athletic trips, but just an example for the 1920 school year, even though it wasn't even a full year, the 182,000 miles is 18,000 of that is athletic trips, field trips. So just kind of gives you an idea of where we go, where we travel, and how many miles we put on. So we're not obviously at the end of the year, so by the end of the year those numbers will rise. And then also that graph has the fuel that we use, and that'll change next year because we will actually have 8 gasoline buses, so that'll be interesting to watch. So. Okay, I do have 2 retirements that's been reported to me so far. So I would love to say, whoops, I forgot to put that there. Thank you to Bob Vanderstraten. He's been in the district in a couple different roles. He's been in, I believe, custodial, and he's been a mechanic. And then for the last 3 years, he's given his time to bus drive for us, and we've just loved having him drive bus. I love hearing his stories, his take on the kids. The kids love him, and there's just always a laugh. He's got a warm heart for those kids. So thank you, Bob. And Tammy Obe is here. Tammy Obe's retiring with 26 years. So I'm excited for her because I know that she's got some grandbabies that live up in northern Michigan. But I'm also excited because she has, and her and Bob both have said that they would be willing to help us out a little bit next year as a sub. So we're excited about that. But I wish you the best too, Tammy. And technology. Don is working with us and helping us. We've purchased ProVision video systems. I'm very excited about this. These cameras are state-of-the-art, they say, you know, but the pictures are so clear. Right now, when I try to do contact tracing, I might be able to make out the kids in the front 2 rows and maybe the kids in the back 3 rows, or I try to catch a picture as they're getting off and then stop it, but it's really blurry. But I'd love to show you just a little bit of what those pictures are going to look like. The first one goes along with that law that we're hoping to get passed. If by chance somebody runs a red light, let's just say Sprinkle Road, and they're going 50 miles an hour, it grabs a picture just like that, and we can see the license plate. Don't worry, if this is your car, I don't know who you are, so you're safe. But I've been playing with the camera, just trying to, you know, so I could show you what they're going to look like. We're still working on some details, trying to get those figured out, but this is a really nice, clear picture of kids. You can see down into the seats. This is only one camera view. We're going to have 4 camera views on the bus. So it just, very nice, clear picture. We can zoom in. You know, I'm very excited. And then also what we're hoping to work out is that it'll be an automatic transfer. Those are some details that we need to work on yet, but it should come right to my desk, because right now it's like they call me, I got a contact trace, I got to wait till the bus comes back to the garage, pull out the disc. So this will be an automatic transfer, so it'll make that kind of stuff a lot easier. And I just wanted to let you know that we are all hopeful for getting back to normal this next fall and resuming the plans for a safety carnival, something I was going to try to do last year, but unfortunately things didn't go the way we planned. But I'm excited about this because I feel like we're not reaching those little ones with the training. So we're going to invite preschoolers through 2nd grade with parents over to the grassy area over by the administration building, and we're going to focus on bus safety. We're going to focus on the danger zone, helping them understand the areas they should not be right by the bus. Those big tires are really big compared to those little bodies. And then also do the emergency evacuation, just kind of show them what that's all about. And I'm excited about parents being there because the parents will understand more of what we're doing and why we're doing it, and then help instill that in their children. We're going to focus on safe riding. So we've had some, you know, it just gets harder with a lot of young kids on a bus and them hearing us, and so I'm really looking forward to this being successful, and then also safe crossing. So we're going to draw in all that safety, but with some fun. We're going to have the fire truck there, and we're going to have Ivison's food truck there. The big read machine's going to be there, and we're still looking for other opportunities to get things up there. And so if any of you would be interested in joining us, we'd love your help. We're going to need a lot of volunteers to kind of help crowd control. We're going to have 2 sections. We're going to set up, like, each training session is going to be set up twice so we can try to move kids through and their parents. So we'll have 3 buses out there, and one of them will actually go for a ride. Well, 2 of them, but they'll go for a ride so the kids can experience riding the bus, which the preschoolers usually love. So we're planning this on August 19th, and it'll be from 5:30 to 7:30. Just give me a call or an email. There is a flyer in your packet, and if you could join us that evening, we'd love it. So we're still in the planning stages of that. So I just want to ask at this point if there's any questions for me. I would love to answer them before I go on to my last. Yes? It's video, and I'm able to stop it and get that clear shot. Yep.
Is that going on all the buses?
All of our active routes, so 16 buses will have those cameras installed.
Every time that they're out on the route?
Every time they're out on the route, yep. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yep. Okay, no other questions? I do have one more exciting thing I would like to share with you. We have a special driver, and I know you saw the video of her sharing about how she felt about that training. She said, I've been driving a long, long time. She wasn't kidding. We are celebrating Jerry Gore's line. 50 years driving school bus. Jerry was recognized in School Bus Fleet magazine this year with pictures telling about her 50 years. Her number one focus since I've known Jerry has been the safety of her children. And I just wanted to be able to share a couple pictures of Jerry, and then Mr. O'Neill is going to make a presentation there. You have a microphone over there?
I'll be loud.
Okay. I really made an effort to contact some people, but you know, it's been 50 years. That's a long time. There, Mr. O'Neill, go ahead.
Well, Jerry, this is just a small token. Thank you. 50 years is just an incredible dedication to the district and your kids. I want to present you with this plaque, and if it's okay, I'd like to get a picture of you holding that.
I love Jerry's stories. She'll come in and she'll tell me at least weekly about something funny a little one would say, or a situation that has happened. She's very attentive to her children. She knows when somebody's home and she knows when somebody's not home. She always takes that extra step. And so I always love her stories, but I do have a special guest tonight that would like to share her story.
Good evening. I have a story to share with you. It was like any typical day. One of the last stops before you headed back to the bus garage. This little 5, 6-year-old jumps down off that last step to cross the road, wanting to get inside for her favorite show, Scooby-Doo, and have a snack with her dad. She looks up to you and waits for your first nod to go to the center line like any other time. You give her the nod. She takes those few steps and peeks her head around the bus to look, and then looks back to you for your okay. It's in that moment that her whole life could have changed. There, coming around the bus, was a car. You frantically shook your head and waved your arms, and I'm sure in that moment you were probably screaming no at the same time. That little girl took a faithful step backwards. I don't remember much of that day. I don't know what happened after that car went by, but I know that if it wasn't for you, my story could have been much, much different.
Jerry, say hello to Cindy Fleckenstein Lockwood. I don't think they've seen each other in over 30 years. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Cindy, for coming by to share this special night with us. That's it for me. Thanks.
You know, I just want to take a minute and thank Transportation for everything you've done and everything you do. I am so proud of our transportation department, and I know Okay, we'll go on to our world language, Spanish and French levels curriculum proposal.
Department to share their proposal for a new instructional resource. But before I turn it over to them, I want to recognize them for their commitment to this process. It was outstanding. It was unusual circumstance or an unexpected circumstance that brought us to having to do this course design review process, normally done over 2 years in 1 year. So we had an unfortunate event with the current vendor, and it forced us to collapse our time frame. So these teachers committed a scheduled 2.5 days, but I am very well aware it was far more than that outside of those scheduled days where they reviewed the resources. They took the process extremely seriously, committed time, effort, energy to this process, and I can't thank them enough for doing that. So I am very excited to have you hear from them about their proposal for a new instructional resource. So tonight we have Emily Shalou and Allie Lammers, Jen Rodas, and Jennifer Teal, and they're representing both the Spanish and the French of the World Language Department.
All right, well, thank you so much for having us. We're really appreciative as a department that the school board's been very supportive of our world language. In 2014, you approved our current series, the Descubre series. It had an online component. It allowed us to bring technology into our classroom. You also approved AP Spanish. This is my 5th year of teaching AP Spanish, which has been incredible, and I can't thank you enough for committing to that, even though I know the numbers are small at times. So we currently do Spanish 1 in the middle school for high school credit all the way through AP Spanish, and it's a great opportunity for our students. Unfortunately, when Flash was canceled, our current edition of Descubre was no longer going to be available after this year, and actually kind of ended a little bit last year, but Gail and Sandra were able to pull some strings and get us our resource for this year, so thank you for that. So it left us kind of in a unique situation in world language, specifically Spanish, for the next coming school year. Thankfully, with Gail's support, she led us through the IMET program, got us the resources that we needed, and committed the time. And we decided as a department that Kmz would be the resource that we would like to ask the board to support going forward in starting in the 2021 school year. Normally, we would phase in level 1, level 2, level 3, then level 4, and kind of change our curriculum as it goes. But again, with our current resource not being available, we kind of have to do Spanish, at least, in one fell swoop. We're confident that this resource is aligned to the goals that we're looking for to pass the AP test, but on top of passing the AP test, to function in a Spanish-speaking community, as well as pass classes in the college classes as well. So that's our goal. We really want the kids to be able to pass the test, function in an a Spanish college course, as well as be able to use the language in a native Spanish-speaking setting. And thankfully, again, you've supported us with our travels and things like that. So I don't want to spoil the benefits of the resource. I'm going to let my colleagues share some of that, but we're super excited. We think we can make this resource work for us in our proficiency-based style of teaching and instructional method of teaching. There's different styles, and this one fits to how we want to teach as a department. It focuses on grammar, immersion, authentic resources. It really gives us the opportunity to teach culture in a more natural way. It just kind of embeds itself, and we're really excited. So we look forward to asking the board to support this resource moving forward. So that's a little bit of our history and why we're asking for you to change for this next school year on kind of a more shorter notice than I think we probably would have done normally. So I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer Teal to talk about the French, and then Allie will share some of the reasons why we chose Kmz. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? No. Sure. Yes, no? No. Better?
There you go.
All right, good. So I'm here along with Emily Chalou to talk about the French resource. With Spanish needing to go through the process, it seems a logical time for French too as well. Our resource was last purchased in 2004, so it was definitely time to bring it into modern times. While we've had great success with our Discovering French resource, as you can imagine, the technology components are pretty much non-existent in that 2004 resource, and this year we have seen the need for those. So we also have chosen to go with Carnegie Learning's Té Branché, which is the counterpart to the Spanish resource as well. Did you want to say anything?
I just emphasize that this is a wonderful resource, I think, for our kids in terms of just bringing the culture and the authentic resources to them right away from the very beginning. So you know, they're not just talking about the functions, but they're seeing what they can do with it right from the very beginning. So I really appreciate that.
And to talk about some of the technology components is Allie Lammers.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk about the technology component that comes along with this series. The technology component is called Passport, and it's incredible. I mean, it really is amazing. We kind of spent time with it, and we all looked at each other going, oh my gosh, it does this. Oh my gosh, it does this. Hey, look, there's this. I mean, it's just an overwhelming amount of resources online. And for us as language teachers, we spend a lot of time trying to come, you know, you've heard a couple of my colleagues here mention authentic texts. We come together and spend a lot of time trying to find real resources that are authentic, that we're not just creating, that are already in the target language, whether that be Spanish or French. And that's time consuming. Finding listenings that kids can hear that are appropriate to the level in which they're able to understand and interpret. Finding readings that are appropriate to the level. This resource has it all. I mean, there's dozens of listening activities. There are dozens of real, authentic readings that we can pull from, where our current resource really is lacking in that. The company has also said that they put out kind of current event sort of things on a regular basis, once every couple of weeks. And so not only are there already a plethora of materials that are on that online component, but they're adding to them on a regular basis of current events as well. And so they do a really nice job of kind of keeping things up to date for our students to be able to really, have that personal connection with the language that's a little bit more authentic, which we really see a lot of benefit in. It also includes a lot of activities that are AP aligned, even in the level 1 text. So, for example, I teach Spanish 1 at the middle school. There are a lot of pre-AP activities, readings, listenings, writing activities that are aligned with the AP themes. So we felt like this resource really, really kind of gets at those AP themes already in level 1, so that, by the time that kids do come to that AP class at the high school, they've already seen those themes. They're kind of already used to that format. And we just felt like, again, that would be really, really nicely aligned with what we already are doing at the AP level.
We did forget one thing. This textbook series, I know social emotional learning has it's a buzzword right now. This textbook has a workbook with activities that are for social emotional learning already built into our lesson plans. So we could start as soon as we get some more training from the district. We have the resources already created that we could start implementing once we know how to do it more efficiently. So we're really excited about that as well.
One thing I forgot to mention when I was introducing them is how much I learned from them over the process. I still don't speak the language, either language, but I learned so much about teaching world language, so thank you. The financials might be a little alarming or surprising in terms of the amount, but as Jen said, we don't typically put in 4 years or 4 levels of language or resource at one time typically. So we looked at whether or not we should phase in, but really was not an option, and the team was just decided to jump all in, and we'll get them the training that they need in order to implement it. And Steve okayed, and we were able to actually get a discount by doing it, paying for it all at one time versus a payment plan over the like 3 years. So that the company worked with us to have a discount for that. We saved a lot on shipping too. They will get all of their print materials this year for all of the courses, and then as the licenses need to be activated, we can activate those whenever they're needed in the course. So with that, do you have any questions for anybody?
Any questions?
Well, I guess I just have a comment. I know in the time that I've spent on the board, I think the work that you all have done as a department has been really outstanding. And since I've been on, you moved language into the middle school, which helped even the kids that aren't going to go into language at the higher levels, because if they want to challenge as a middle schooler and they can get those credits for their high school graduation, that allows them to take other things in high school. And then to be able to prepare kids and to now have I forgot the name of it, a proficiency certification, that is a really great thing to help kids be employed. So in the time that I've been here, I've been very impressed at how things have improved, and if this is what you want, I'm all for it.
Any other questions? You know, I think it's been some time since we've really redone the curriculum in that area also. So I think you've all gotten the bang out of the buck for us with the old curriculum. So I echo what Dave says. You guys have done a great job, and I'm more than happy to support this.
Yeah, very impressive proposal.
How
Great work.
easy is it to switch total curriculums when somebody's in the middle of the, like, second or third year or whatever?
This year, I guess one of the good things to come out of COVID is we're in a unique situation. So there are going to be some gaps that we've identified, but because of that, we were able to switch our curriculums, know where we need to fill the gaps in, and I don't think we're going to see as big of an impact as we might have had we been in a normal school year. So does it have its challenges? Yes. But as a department, we've worked through those. We've kind of worked out a slight, we still have to do the scope and sequence officially, but we've already worked through it and where we might see some of those challenges. So it's not as easy as when you do one level at a time, but we've been able to identify what we need to do to make it happen. So we're confident that we won't see any gaps in our students' learning from switching over at all.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'd like to just also recognize Mary Zemlick was a part of the team who participated in the course design review as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to our budget and finance report. Steve?
Okay, I have 4 items to review this evening, and I'll try to make those go as quickly as possible. First item is the normal monthly budget progress report, and this includes activity through the end of April, or 10 months of our fiscal year. Just covering kind of the highlights. On a year-to-date basis, revenue is at $20.9 million, and that's up a bit from last year, about $1.2 million, and one of the big differences there is in the federal. Kevin mentioned the federal earlier, and I just wanted to point out that I really rely on Gail heavily in that area. She's been a tremendous resource, as well as Rebecca Durant. Between the two of them, great team, and it helps us to keep track of all of that. The federal piece is always the most complicated, the most risky from a compliance standpoint and that type of thing. And so just appreciate their help on that. On the expenditure side, instructional expenditures year-to-date, $11,847,000. And on the support services, $8,233,000. And you can see athletics came in at $387,000, community services at $315,000, interfund transfers of $472,000. The interfund transfer relates to general obligation bonds that were issued in '05 and '07, and those are slated to be paid off here in just a couple of years. So good news on that. Total expenditures year-to-date, $21,254,895. The second page of that report, you have the same expenditure information broken down by object code. And you can see, as we talk about every month, as most people are familiar with, personnel costs are our number one expense. And so they account for close to 80% of our total budget. And this year, on a year-to-date basis, we're at $16,387,000. You can see purchase services at $2.1 million, supplies at $1.35 million, capital outlay at $809,000, and other expenditures at $593,000. Any questions on that? Okay, I went through that pretty quickly, but second item is the request to set the next board meeting, June 14th, is our annual budget hearing. That's the meeting that everyone waits for excitedly. That report comes once a year, and you know, I don't think I can ever make it as you know, entertaining and impactful as Karen's transportation reports, but I'm going to try to work in, you know, some entertainment on that, because it can, you know, it takes a while, and I'll also make sure there's a lot of caffeine in the room.
Does that mean we're going to have cartoons?
Maybe, so we'll see, you know. I don't want to make any commitments right now, but that's an important hearing. You know, that'll be our first stab at the budget for next year, and it'll be based on the information that we have at the time. I always remind people that, you know, the biggest assumptions are the number of kids and the per pupil funding. You know, that's going to drive 80% of our revenue. So, you know, I would say enrollment is just more, maybe less predictable than it has been in a long, long time. And so that's going to be a big variable, and you know, it remains to be seen if we have firm guidance from the state regarding the per pupil funding. I think there's very little chance that we'll have an actual final state budget by June 14th, but we'll see. We at least should have a sense for how things are, you know, which way the wind is blowing on that. All right, so that's second item. Third item relates to the annual resolution related to KRESA's general fund operating budget. And this is something that came up, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years ago, due to some questionable spending by some intermediate district somewhere in the state. The legislature responded by requiring schools to pass a resolution either supporting or not supporting the intermediate school district's budgets. And so I think it's helpful to have that little bit of background. I think this has a little bit of a political origin to it. I included the summary of KRESA's budget, their major assumptions, and what I would say is we have a great working relationship with KRESA. My counterpart there, I have a lot of respect for. You know, I know he does a great job. So I tend to not want to get into the details on their budget, but I can say, just kind of looking at it from a high level, I don't see anything that's really surprising or concerning to me, and nothing in there that should really have any kind of impact on the budgetary situation of our school system. So I'll kind of leave it at that. The recommendation would be to you know, approve the resolution supporting it, and I think it's also good to know that even if our board took some exception and made some recommendations, it's completely non-binding. Right, Skip? I mean, Skip, if you want to add anything to that.
Well, what happened a number of years ago, there was a large intermediate school system over on the east side of the state And there was some questionable spending, and there also was some concern that the intermediates, at least over on that side of the state, we had been over on this side, were not sharing their budgets with the local school system so that they didn't know what was going on. So this approval is more of an acknowledgement and receipt of our budget, so you're aware of it.
So recommendation is to approve that. And then finally, quick bond update. Included in the packet is a memorandum from our construction manager, Frederick Construction, regarding a couple big projects, the replacement of the turf in the football field as well as the track. And want to just point out there was a typo in the memo, and so one of the totals didn't make sense, but I want to emphasize that the numbers included on the bid tab, which were enclosed, and the numbers in the board action are the actual numbers. So please disregard the typo on that memo. The numbers that the board would be taking action on are the correct numbers. A little bit of history there. We first replaced the turf back in 2005, and it became playable in 2006. So we've gotten 15 years out of that turf. And, you know, kudos to Nancy and the maintenance crew. You know, we've worked hard to keep that turf up. You know, we originally expected to get maybe 10 years out of it, maybe 12. And, you know, we've exceeded the useful life on it. It's a major expenditure. And when we first did it, we were one of the first schools in the area to have an artificial turf field. And on the surface, it, you know, it feels like maybe that's a luxury, or maybe that's not. You know, some people would take exception with that as an expenditure. But, you know, one of the things that we struggle with here is having enough field space for all the different groups that want to use it, whether it's the band or various athletic teams. And, you know, a natural grass field is nice, but you spend a lot of money, a lot of manpower to maintain it, and to go along with that, you keep people off of it as much as possible. And so when you think about the amount of time and money and effort that goes into maintaining a natural turf field so that you minimize access to it, for us, we thought at the time that it made a lot of sense to have an artificial field because it's available almost 24/7. You know, we get a lot of use out of it. And despite that use, the field has held up very well. And but it nevertheless, it's time to replace it. And so we would fully anticipate, I think the technology's only gotten better. We would fully anticipate that, you know, we would get another 15 years out of that. And same with the track. So recommendation there is to approve those bids and allow that work to get going.
Steve, is there any change in the technology of the turf? You know, what equipment we've got that we use to maintain that turf? Is it still going to be able to work on the new turf?
We're going to, and Nancy, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but we're going to have a new piece of grooming equipment that should just help, you know, preserve the field for many, many years to come.
Good.
But part of that is to replace the grooming equipment. Yep. Other questions on that? Okay, if not, then that will conclude my report.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, we'll go on to reconfirmation of extended continuity of learning plan hearing.
Thank you, Skip. First off, I'm going to review the key metrics in our area. Currently, the positivity in Kalamazoo County sits at 11.6%. This is on a 3-week downward trend, which is good news. Our cases per million sit at 261 cases per million, and this is on a 28-day downward trend, with our daily cases averaging less than 70 cases per day, which again is on a downward trend. So good news with the data in Kalamazoo County. I do want to note, despite the trends, the current numbers are still elevated. I think we all realize that. And again, we hope to continue to see the downward trend continue. Currently, 56% of the population is vaccinated in Kalamazoo County as well. Now, real quick, I'd like to review our two-way interaction rates for the month of April. Last week, 96.07%. Week before, 96.23%. Week before that, 95.43%. And then the week before that, the week after spring break, was at 96%. We're recommending no changes to our current program, how we're instructing our kids, and that will take us through the end of the year. Yep, that's all I have for that.
All right, and then we'll go on to audience right now. And first of all, anyone in the audience that wishes to address the extended continuity of learning plan, we would open up for comment with regard to that. This, again, is just continuity of learning. Anyone? Okay, then we'll go to Steve Thomas, who wishes to address the board. How you doing, Steve? Try and use the mic. We're in like a dead spot up here.
Steve Thomas, you want my address? Are you good with that?
We've got it written down.
Yeah, I never write it down. Okay, I've been attending the school board meetings for approximately 13 years. As Mr. Knowles said earlier today, April and May are wonderful months to come, and I've been looking forward to the month of April for a long time. My son was in the top 10. I was proud of him, his mother was, and I usually stay for the whole meeting. And last month, it got to the comment section, and I left. And it got negative, I got down, and I thought, this isn't how we are around here. It's been an amazing year. Our kids are in school. He's been quarantined, yes. There's been other kids, other classes. But all in all, I think everyone's put forth an effort that's beyond anything we can imagine. I've talked to one of his favorite teachers a couple times. He's a longtime teacher in the high school, loves his job, loves his students. He's tired. He wishes he could do more that he has done in the past, and he knows it's going to get better. So I just want to thank everybody. I hope that we can stay positive. I think you got me for one more year coming to the meetings, and look forward to you on the 27th. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
And Steve, even though he's graduating, you don't have to be a stranger at our meetings. One more year. Okay. All right. Then we've got Chris Cowles who wishes to address the board. Tori, is it Langdon? Did I say that correct?
Hello, I'm Tori Langdon. I live in Schoolcraft, but I go to Vicksburg. I'm in middle school, 8th grade, and I'm here to talk about next year's plan for virtual or non-virtual. In my experience as a student at Vicksburg, virtual is definitely a lot harder. It's a lot harder on myself, other students, like my friends, who I've also talked to about this, and it doesn't really seem like it's good for when you have to quarantine more people, but I really feel like as a whole, people aren't learning as much. Grades will probably drop if we keep doing that. I'm sorry if I'm not making as much sense. And it's not really the teacher's fault. They're doing a great job. My Spanish teacher's right here. She's doing a great job. I just feel like there's a lot less connection. And with that loss of connection, it's also a loss of understanding and learning. And I'm pretty sure that people are a lot more distracted at home because their other devices and stuff are a lot more accessible. And they can turn off camera, mute themselves, and just be able to do basically anything they want to. And so also you guys are doing great too. So I just wanted to put that out there. I feel like next year should be maybe more hybrid for the people who have to quarantine, but be left as an option.
for students.
Thank you very much, and it's nice to hear from a student. And next would be Tom Langdon.
Well, I kind of expected a bigger crowd. I just wanted to mention the same, kind of echo what Tori said. And, you know, I've worked in schools for a while now, and I'm really not, nobody has all the answers, but I guess what I'd like to just basically state is the fact that it's good to have choices. And I appreciate the courage that the board has and the superintendent here to give those choices, even under some pretty dramatic comments and community outcry from some people, but just encourage you guys to stay the course. I called Mr. O'Neill before school started, and I was investigating to see what schools were going to give a better, well, in my mind, better option for students to be with each other. I don't really want to get into numbers or studies or inquiries about all this. What I will say is that I got the answer I wanted, and I believe you folks have stayed the course. And I think that will make a lot of difference in her life compared to some students who didn't have those choices. So I guess just keep the course. I appreciate Mr. O'Neill mentioning the fact that because students can be outside without masks, they're allowed to be. That was an article, there's an article today in CNN by Ywca, their lead medical correspondent, and he mentions the fact that nobody can, and this is CNN, nobody can make any argument that being outside, as long as you're careful, as you guys are saying that you will make any difference at all in the health and safety of students or staff. So I'm glad that we're making that decision quickly, even though Tori's in 8th grade. Not gonna take more time up. Again, I thought it may be a different situation tonight. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. You should be very proud of Tori, too. That was an excellent presentation. Okay, Kelly McDonald.
I wore heels, but apparently it didn't matter. Hello, I'm Kelly McDonald. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Vicksburg Education Association. I learned that some administrators didn't really understand my conversation with Skip last month, and I was encouraged by my executive board to offer an explanation in case that was true for anyone else. I'll give you a little background. Recently, our executive council and I became aware that for some years, some of our female colleagues will participate at their respective staff meetings, and after they're done speaking, they receive no acknowledgement, which is pretty disheartening. And then they'll listen as the same words that they said come from a male colleague and receive an awful lot of thanks and praise, which was completely shocking to me because the T in the Toby way, treat others with respect, is all I've ever lived and experienced. But then I noticed over the past year, coming to all the school board meetings, that kind of the same thing happens here. Often men will speak and are voraciously thanked or joked with. Women often receive no acknowledgement for speaking and are frequently interrupted. Then a weird thing happened where women, including myself, started getting called Jen. I don't know if that was just because we were the first caller. Little things maybe don't mean much to anybody but me, but then 2 months ago, Skip decided to call Stephanie Steph, completely unprovoked, although she'd never introduced herself as such. And finally, last month, a teacher was called Kiddo. If what I said last month felt like an overreaction because to you these events are innocent, slips of the tongue, coincidences, people don't mean anything by it, I guess that means that you think the burden of a man's intent when he interrupts or uses nicknames lies on everyone else, and that he need not worry about his impact. I'm not sure that's the hill we all want to die on, because that's exactly what I'm talking about, male privilege that enables sexism in our school district. Whether anyone means anything by these little moments or not, this conversation did mean something to your staff. It means something to the teacher who got called that nickname in front of her colleagues and her community and was embarrassed. It means something to the 8-year-old girl who thanked me the next day for standing up for that lady. Because yes, she's watching all of us, and she's watching which behaviors she will learn are okay or not for her generation. It means something to me personally because I took a risk speaking out against what happened. Instead of people focusing on recognizing the problem, I heard that some administrators just wanted to discuss if I should be more positive or polite. Well, I don't think anyone has to change their tone to make someone comfortable with Amanda being called kiddo. If that's truly what someone in this room is choosing to focus on, I think you're completely missing the point of what I was saying. After this meeting, if you see someone or hear someone hold up their hands and deny that any of this is real just because it's happening to a few, I think we all need to think about why that person's doing that. And it's probably because we're questioning a system that benefits that person, even if it harms many. If you hear words like this conversation is too accusatory, which I have heard, it's too unpleasant. Well, for whom? For a purveyor of sexism towards your staff? To their bystanders who have just lived it their whole lives? Well, I guess if it's uncomfortable for them, so be it. It probably should be. I hope we're all really uncomfortable with this, that it even has to be brought up. I know your staff's uncomfortable, and please understand that this conversation that's a little less than positive doesn't diminish what we all do so well. But it needs to be brought to light, discussed honestly, and this can't be tolerated. After all this, if someone here is still confused, I'm sure we could arrange a full TED Talk, but I gotta tell you, I hear those get 18 minutes instead of my 3 that I'm sure I've burnt through by now. So thank you for your time. Let me know if you have any questions.
Anyone else wish to address the board on a non-agenda item? Okay, we'll go on to board action.
Actually, Skip, just to give you a little story, Dr. Paula Schremer, graduate of the University of Michigan Medical School, got an announcement email that there was a conference and Joni Caldoun was the speaker. She's the current chief health officer for the state of Michigan, and it didn't have her credentials. So it had an announcement for Joni Caldoun to give a conference without any credentials behind her name at all, which are extensive. Guess who got on that phone and let them know? And that changed very quickly. So I understand where you're coming from, and that was from people who should really know better in Ann Arbor, who are organizing a medical conference. So, point well taken.
Okay, first item we have before us is approval of the April 12th, 2021 regular board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Carol,
Supported by Stephanie.
supported by Stephanie. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of general fund invoices totaling $737,676.33.
So moved. Support.
Was that moved by Tina, supported by Jennifer, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Discussion? Stephanie?
Aye. Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Item 10, approval of purchase card disbursements for March 21 totaling $92,674.61.
So moved.
Moved by Dan,
Support.
supported by Carol. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Approval to set June 14th, 2021 for the annual public hearing to consider the district's proposed 21-22 budget.
Move approval.
Moved by Tina,
Supported.
supported by Carol. Discussion?
Will he provide chai lattes?
I'll have to take that under advisement.
I will only say yes if we get chai.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval to award the following contracts based on the results of the competitive bids to be funded with proceeds from the 2020 bond. First being, we're going to take these together. First being the synthetic track surfacing to Star Track Enterprises LLC in the amount of $168,000. You know, I was a little shocked at that number because it's substantially lower than what we had before, but we had all the prep work for turf before, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of site work
Yeah.
that, you know, we're able to take advantage of that we still benefit from.
And then asphalt track paving with XL Paving Plus, $162,875. And synthetic field turf, $428,427.
So moved.
Moved by Jennifer,
Support.
supported by Tina. Discussion. Stephanie?
Yes?
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Approval of the Kalamazoo RESA 21-22 General Fund Budget Resolution.
Move support?
Was that Dave?
Yes.
Moved by Dave,
Support. Stephanie?
supported by Stephanie. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And I'll abstain because of my position with KRESA. Approval of the Extended Continuity Plan, ECOL, reconfirmation.
Move approval. Tina?
Moved by Tina,
Supported by Dan.
supported by Dan. Discussion?
I gotta be faster.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. First reading approval of world language Spanish and French levels 1 through 4 curriculum proposal.
Move approval. Tina? Support. Stephanie?
Moved by Tina, supported by Stephanie. Any discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
We.
Jen?
Yes. We're so
Tina?
worldly around here. Yes.
Carol?
See?
I was wondering we were going to get that in there, and yes, motion carries. You know, I never will forget the first time you did that.
It's an annual event.
It's an annual event, but it goes back many years when you did it. Okay, second reading approval of the AP Research and AP Seminar Credit Proposal.
Move approval.
Moved by Dave.
Support.
Supported by Jennifer. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. First reading approval of Vicksburg Community Schools Policy 8500.
Move approval.
Moved by Tina,
Support.
supported by Carol. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Second reading approval of Vicksburg Community Schools Policies 226001, 744001, and 845001.
So move.
Moved by Carol,
Support.
supported by Tina. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries, and on that, we'll stand adjourned.